So they've gone to this Friday night college football, and you get some of the smaller conferences who get to be in the spotlight. I get it. I get it all. I hate it that they take away, and hate is the word today, I hate it that they take away from high school football's moment in the sun on Friday nights, even a little bit of it. Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Leonard, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Fieldhouse Podcast. We're a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. We're co-host Jimmy Lackey, CEO, man, does a little bit of everything at Kids Inc., and I'm Lance Leonard, and been in the media in Amarillo quite some time, 38 years at the Globe News. I've never introduced it like that, but the reason I did that, a couple of days ago, I was asked about, hey, they miss our writing, and not just me, but John Mark Ballou, a lot of the guys at the paper. And I was quite touched by that. And I guess I do miss the day-to-day grind of writing. It's in your DNA. Because now when I sit down, Jimmy, to write, I have to write the perfect story, and you can't do it. You know what I mean? You just got to get started. That's the one thing that forces you in newspaper to get started on your writing.
Because you got a deadline.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like any project, but still, yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of us, I'll probably speak for a lot of our listeners, that we miss the days when we could spread the newspaper over the desk and, really peruse through it, and it be local information and, things that apply to most of us day in and day out.
I didn't understand it when I was a young pup at the Globe News. Garrett Von Netzer, one time, we had an 18-page Sunday section, and there was one national story in it.
Wow.
And he was so proud of that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And when I look back, I say that was an impressive feat. So, but anyway, I kind of digress there. But this is our 22nd podcast. We're so thrilled, everybody who's come on and listening. And every once in a while, it's just Jimmy and I kicking it back and forth on some tough topics we like to talk about. But number 22 podcast for us. Who's your favorite number 22 of all time?
Well, Mercury Morris was 22.
Yes.
He's a WT grad. I got to give a little prop there.
I like that one. I wouldn't have gone there.
Emmett Smith came by here one day and met our parents and met our kids checking out football gear one day. Didn't have to do that. That was a big deal. What was really funny about that day is I knew he was coming. He was going to come over and have lunch. He was doing a deal for March of Dimes over at the Comanche. So he played the front nine, then he wanted a private place to go eat, and they brought him over here because it was close. And I said, would you have a minute to speak to the parents, speak to the kids? He said, absolutely. And so took him down. Parents went nuts.
Yeah.
As we're walking down to the other end of the building, he said, Jimmy, these kids aren't going to know who I am. And you know what? He was right. But all of our volunteers and adults that were out there helping them fit, they were all into it. But the kids are like, who's that?
Yeah, he
was dead on.
So I got to interview. I have the privilege the last few years of doing the bridge interviews for their big fundraiser. And it's been like Ryan Palmer, Zach Thomas, Danny White, Randy White, Too Tall Jones, and one of them was Emmett Smith. And a couple of weeks before it was supposed to take place, I think the tight end for the Cowboys unretired, okay? And Jason Witten.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be the speaker. So they get Emmett Smith. And this is a true story. So I meet with him, right? I send him in the questions and all that, but usually you go take a quick photo. They have a meet and greet for those who have paid a little extra and things like that. But anyway, so, and they go, hey, Lance is interviewing tonight. He's the one who came up with all the questions, all that. And he goes, so he pulls me aside and he goes, Lance, they're expecting Jason Witten. We have to put on a show. And I just turned to him and I go, you're freaking Emmett Smith. You'll be all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was like, look, they're expecting Jason Witten, not me. So they're going to be disappointed, basically. And I'm like, nah, you got it wrong. And he crushed it out of the park, got up there. To be standing next to the all-time rusher in NFL history was awesome. Yeah, I found that pretty interesting. My 22 has to be Emmett Smith. Yeah, I like that. I like Mercury Morse. There's not a lot of great 22s when you think about it.
No, it's a unique number. But when Emmett came, he told both the parents and the kids, football with an education will get you a long ways, but he said football without an education will get you nowhere. And I really appreciated that message, particularly when he was talking to the kids, because, he had it in perspective for those young kids.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
It was
with
cool.
Those guys?
Think about all the things that guy's done. And to
think,
take time to come here was pretty cool.
And think walking down the hall with you, hey, these kids aren't going to know me, because he knew. Yeah. He'd been around it enough. So
I've got footage of that. We probably ought to even throw that in, Maddie, of him talking to those kids. You could throw a little blurb in there, a little, what do they call that, VO roll or whatever y'all call that in the media.
Speaking of Maddie, how was the reaction to the incredible getting gear video that they did?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that video that she and Haley put together. Yeah.
Really well done.
And now she's raised the bar, because now she knows what her expectations from us are. More of that. It's like more cowbell.
Yeah.
We want more of that from Maddie, because she's so good with that.
And the voiceover was excellent as well. The writing was excellent. That's the stuff.
It told our story in 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's what was cool.
Yeah.
You're not sitting there for 27 minutes listening to us. You're in 3 minutes, so it was awesome. Hey, Jimmy, I got a few for you today, if you don't mind. New AD, new volleyball coach at West Texas. A lot of changes, just the vibe down there. How do you think things are rolling? Basically a month into everybody's product on the court, and Josh has this is only his second year there, Josh Lynn. So. Yeah. How things going at West Texas, in your opinion?
Volleyball had a big win, had a big weekend in the tournament up in Colorado. Took a loss or two, but came back and finished it off and
won the college premier,
thrilled,
Colorado premier.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest preseason volleyball tournaments in the Division II level, and so kudos for Coach Harry for winning that. I was devastated that she lost her first home match that night at the Brick Care tournament. Ended up, we were down 2-0, and they come back, take it to the fifth, and ended up, I think, lost 15-12, but came back and won the rest of them that weekend. All ranked teams, and
Fair State was excellent.
They're getting they're figuring they lost a couple 3 kids. One of them's one of their assistant coaches now, probably one of the best we've ever had, and with Tori, and so they're figuring it out. And obviously to go win the premier tournament in Colorado, they've really figured things out, and I think they're going to just keep getting from there. I did have a chance to just briefly meet the new AD Saturday. I went up and introduced myself to him out at the tailgate. His in-laws were in town. He introduced me to them. They were from Michigan, and just a real quick visit. Didn't want to bother him. But I did invite him to come on the podcast.
Good.
Sent him an email yesterday and asked him to come on.
Pressure's on now.
Yeah.
Make it public. No, but
and then the football game the other night, bless Coach Lynn's heart, that big old kid that ran right up the middle early in the game. That was a dagger. And then the kids came back.
Yeah.
And just mistakes. Honestly, mistakes beat us the other night. That was a good football team. I thought they were bigger than we were across the line on both fronts. And I thought we handled them well. The one thing I'm going to get –
Colorado.
Oh, man, Western Colorado, the first thing I noticed about them, when they tackled, they wrapped up. God, they
you like that, don't you?
I do. They wrap up. That's the way you're supposed to – there's none of this arm tackling or flailing out there trying to knock somebody's legs off them. They're wrapping up.
Yeah, I like it.
I will tell you right now, Lance, the hardest hit I've ever seen at a Kids Inc. football game, this is a true story, and it's probably been 15 years ago. But every year, I didn't see any this year, but I'm sure there's some. We'll have a few girls that play tackle in our program. And this particular year, we had a 6th grader. She was from Vega, farm kid, and stout as a board. And I watched her wrap a kid up at the line and bend him backwards, and that kid went crying off the field.
Yeah.
Perfect tackle.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. This kid, it was the perfect form tackle.
Yeah, you love that.
So I do love that because that's fundamental-based football that I go way back to and understand, and it still works.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but it still works. They wrapped up really well when they tackled.
I think coaches know that down deep, the ones who want to win it all. So I will say this. In your life, did you ever think that I would be saying these words, that West Texas would be opening Lone Star Conference play against Eastern Washington.
No.
And Texas Tech would be opening Big 12 play against Arizona State. No way. No way.
Now, am I wrong here? But were Arizona and Arizona State both in the border conference with all of us back in the day?
Yeah, they were back in the day.
Back in the 50s.
Yeah, you're right.
I may be wrong.
No, there's some big crowd shots of when they came to town.
I think back in the old border conference days.
Yeah.
WT, Tech, and all them were in the same conference.
I mean,
in today's world, absolutely not.
Yeah, in fact, Division II, has been affected. We always talk about the Big Ten having a USC and a UCLA, but the Division II is affected that way. But, yeah, I appreciate that update on WT. Go support them. They're great programs to watch. And that what they have built at Buffalo Stadium, Bain Schaefer Buffalo Stadium, is the palace of Division II. I mean, it's an amazing place to just go watch a game as a fan. There's not a bad seat. Whoever came up with that plan for that stadium, the architect specifically, amazing.
Yeah, you're right there on the field. I mean, every seat in the house.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
You can hear
it. Hey, let's
it.
stick with football if you don't mind. Tua, obviously the Miami quarterback, has the bad concussion. They put him on the injured list, so he'll have 4 weeks to come back rather than diagnose him week to week. We see a lot of athletes fighting concussions. They come back. Some have to retire eventually from them. Obviously, we know what that does to the brain. It's really a catch-22. Do you go out there and play the game you love when you're still in your 20s, or do you call it quits? What do you think he's going through right now?
I haven't seen the full transcript, but I know Nick Saban had a conversation with him and, explained to him that you just got to stop doing that. You can't do what he did, in that prototypic position that the quarterback plays. I mean, they are the franchise player for every team, and when they're open, they're open. But how many of the others do you see do a good job and they slide and get out of the way?
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what it's like to be in the heat of the moment and run the ball and just want to get there. But when you've already had the number of concussions that he has, you know what the long-term results of those are. The writing's on the wall long term. I mean, it is. Think about the older days when they didn't think about concussions. And you and I know, and I won't mention names here, but I know a guy that they said was the hardest hitting guy in Panhandle history. One very big guy dealing with long-term effects of that now. And, it eventually is going to catch up, and it's got to have an effect on an individual. And no $1,000 helmet's going to prevent that.
Yeah, no, well said. I have a little different perspective. It's not real popular with people, but Tua, that's his body. I know he's got to if he's got a family, you got to consider that. But if that's what he wants to do, I'm okay with it. I really am.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that too.
In the long term, we do see it, but. And Nick Saban can say that, but he's already lived his life. He's already accomplished everything he wants. He's in his 70s or 80s. He's not Tua. And Tua that wasn't that big of a hit. That's the thing. In football, you get some awkward hits, but I'm with you. He needs to go to the extreme of avoiding being hit with what it is. But I'm okay if he goes out there, and I know this sounds crass, but if he literally dies doing what he loves to do, that's the way you live life,
good
man.
With it, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like hamburgers and pizza. I mean, I shouldn't be doing that, but I do. I know what the effects are going to
be. Yeah. All right. Hey, I've got a couple of different ones for you today. If you could pick one piece of memorabilia, sports memorabilia, on an event that happened in all the time of sports, Muhammad Ali boxing gloves, whatever, the pass that was thrown on the Immaculate Reception, if you had that ball, things like that. What would that piece of memorabilia be?
I'm glad you asked me this about 10 minutes ago before we started, because it just hit me. Yes, sir. When Nicholas made that putt on 16, when he came back in 86 and won the Masters.
Putter?
The putter. I'd like to have
Wow.
an autographed, personalized to me from Jack Nicklaus while I'm watching him ride on it.
That's pretty cool.
I remember that.
Yeah.
He's going to win the Masters. He's coming back. He's 46 years old. And yes, sir, on 16 with that putter.
Yeah.
And, if I could have a autographed picture and watch him sign that, that would be mine.
You want the putter, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I want it in the shadow box.
I wonder where that. We'll have to look that up. I should have looked that up before, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's
that would be one I can think of off the cuff.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Yeah, so.
Ready to get in the game? Kids Inc. has officially opened late fall sports registration. Sign up now for boys basketball, fall indoor soccer, or fall volleyball. Don't miss out. Register today and let's play. Register now at kidsinc.org/play. That's KIDSINC.org/play.
Hey, also what we've got, I kind of looked it up, Jimmy. If Major League Baseball goes to a Game 6 this year, they will actually be playing games in November.
Yeah, it's too long.
Baseball is made for summer, in my opinion. But NBA, NFL now extending to 17. Hopefully they're trying to get to 18. Are these seasons too long?
I don't know about the NFL. If they cut down on the front end on the preseason games, I don't have a problem with it. They, I remember
they don't play in the preseason anyway.
We used to play and those guys don't play.
Yeah.
But we used to have a 14-game season way back in the day, and then it went to 16. Now we're at 17, going to 18. That one, I don't have an issue with. There is no way on God's green earth for me to understand how those basketball professionals run up and down the floor every night for 82 games plus playoffs.
From October to that goes into May, June.
Hockey to a certain extent, those guys same too. But baseball, golly, 162 game schedule.
It's too long.
Goes forever.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we play, 80 here in the Saw Poodles?
That's
a long season.
Yeah.
40 and 40. So I don't know. That's
they play almost 80 at home, don't they?
Do we play 80 at home?
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, it's over 100 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get
that's
that
coming
exactly.
down to let's just be real here. That's advertising. That's dollars.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
It's about the bank money.
You got to pay the contracts.
And it kind of goes back to your conversation with Tua. If that's what those guys are willing to do, I guess they're willing to do it.
It's too long. The injuries now are – you're seeing great athletes who have to pace themselves, and that's the last thing we really want to see as fans. I realize the owners have to pay these contracts. I get it. But the wear and tear on the body of a professional athlete, it's ridiculous. They are bored at times during their season. The NFL, if you look at the injury list – already out, fantasy owners are just freaking out. Just so many injuries. You're going to get hurt playing NFL football, college football, high school football. It's just how bad. But the seasons are too long. So move them in, figure out a way to pay the contracts, and we're going to see more quality performances out of everybody who will actually put it on the line night in, night out. We don't see that anymore. We just don't see that.
Think about this, and I'm getting way off subject here, and I don't have the answer. I like to come to the table with solutions, but I don't have the answer to this. But think about this. And I'm just going to use my dad as an example. My dad played offensive lineman at LSU in 1954 at 178 pounds. Look at how much they weigh now.
Oh, yeah.
How does that change so drastically? And then you think about the wear and tear on a 350-pound body versus a 178-pound body. Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing.
And Dad was playing against people his size.
Yeah,
it wasn't like
so
he was
fast
playing
now.
against 300
they're so athletic
people.
now. Yeah.
And so how that's gone from here to here blows my mind.
Yeah. You look at a Micah Parsons. If you see him up close and personal, he's massive, and you're saying that guy actually runs that fast.
And he's fit and trim.
Yeah, he's fit and trim. Yeah. But some water boys are way more than 178 now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah. But anyway, I think it's too long. I think they're all too long. I get bored with the seasons. I think the athletes get bored with them. And I want to see us move them in so we see these outstanding players do their thing. Look at the WNBA. Like we've talked about Caitlin Clark. I mean, she went from her college season, which was September, to March, and now she's almost been playing. She has been playing a full year. Nobody can handle that. Nobody can handle that. So I had a couple more, and we're going to hop out of here today. But I don't know why it bothers me so much, and we don't have a lot of it. But obviously ESPN needs product, so they've gone to this Friday night college football, and you get some of the smaller conferences who get to be in the spotlight. I get it. I get it all. I hate it that they take away, and hate is the word today, I hate it that they take away from high school football's moment in the sun on Friday nights, even a little bit of it. I wish they would run high school football games on the network, maybe a national game of the week to that extreme. I think it would be very popular. But I just wish, if I was president, I would step in and make the most ridiculous law of all time and say college football games cannot be played on Friday night.
Yeah.
I would be booted out of office very quickly for being this ridiculous, but I would get that law passed.
I think that's valid. I hadn't thought of it that way. I tell everybody this time of year, today, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the worst days of the week because that's the only days we don't have football on TV anymore. The rest of the week is great. Or you can go to your local stadium and watch. We had Tascosa and Coronado at Bain Schaefer last week. And so, you can catch some good football any day but Tuesday or Wednesday. And, your young kids still play on Tuesdays. And I think there are some now that are having to play on Wednesdays, unfortunately, just because of lack of referees and things of that nature. But, yeah, I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. You're probably right. And I might go as far as to say some of those games on Friday nights, there's some high school games that probably would even be better.
Oh, yeah. They would draw more of an audience, I think.
Big time.
All right. We love when it's just us two. You got to give us an update on the complex. You got to help us out with the rock.
Well, we've been wrapping up some of the construction stuff over in Hereford. Craig's done a great job working with our folks over there, and we're down to the dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's. The fields are in place. There's a lot of peripheral work that has to be done on those complexes in Hereford, but we're down to the nuts and bolts of getting those done. And so through that, and then about 4 months ago, give or take, they had a change at the top with Hellas Construction, and so there's a new CEO in place.
How did that affect you?
I don't know yet. I might be able to answer that question next week because through this deal in Hereford, we had some concerns and made them known to the folks in Hellas, and they've been on Johnny on the spot with it to get here and address those. But the new COO is flying in tomorrow to meet with me and Craig here in Amarillo.
Wow.
About
the main man?
About our project. But we're going to have to talk about some things in Hereford before we get
to
our project because we dang sure don't want the things that we've dealt with over there happening here, and they shouldn't have happened over there. And I'm just being honest here.
That's fair, yeah.
When you're spending the kind of money, then the city put out the money in Hereford. This one's coming out of our pockets, out of our donors' pockets, not mine.
Yeah.
Well, what little I've put into it, but I'm talking about donor dollars are funding this project, and I'll be danged if we're not going to get it right. And if they can't get it right, we'll find somebody that can, and that's where I'm at with this deal right now. But long story short, the roads that are going to be put in by the Emerald Economic Development Corporation and Rock Rose Development, that's one project going on out there because there's 25 business plats around our project. Our utilities are in place, but the storm drainage and all the things that have to happen out there, our engineers from Hellas, our local engineer that we've hired through Rock Rose, and then the engineers involved from the city side that are putting roads in out there have been meeting on a weekly basis. And once they get those drainage plans dovetailed in place, we're going to pull the trigger. And we've let them know that. So really, for the first time in now 2.5 years, we're waiting on someone else. We've still got about $5 million to raise. I have no doubt that we're going to get that in. And I really think once people really see that there's legs under this project and we're moving dirt, that will happen. We're waiting on engineering to get its business in place because that's critical because of some of the issues we're dealing with in Hereford are engineer related. You've got to get drainage right, but fields have to be level, and you can't have a runoff going onto those fields. And little things like that can really break up a thing. The parking lots, how are they going to drain? Where are they draining to? And then you've got the I-27 project underway. Well, two of those main culverts coming off the property where our land exists are the main drainage points going to the Playa Lakes toward Randall High School. So all of that taken into place are these engineering things that we're talking about. Those are the things we're waiting on, and I'm willing to wait as long as it takes for them to get them right.
Yeah, now you want it right.
To the public, we're ready to pull the trigger.
Nice.
And that's fun to say. I just don't know what that date is yet, but I think it's sooner than later.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, that's awesome. Hey, I do a thing called the Furious Four, Jimmy, on my radio show, 5 to 6, if you're interested in, like what we're saying here. I do a radio show on 102.9 FM. But it's called the Furious Four, and it's not furious at all. Are you ready?
I hope so.
Big dogs or little dogs?
I got both.
Okay.
I got
you answered
Yorkies
that
and Shih Tzus and a 60-pound golden doodle. I like them all.
Phone calls or text messages?
Phone call. I can hear a voice inflection in a phone call that I can't read through a text message.
I like it. Okay, so the world ends tomorrow, okay? You got the skinny on it. What is going to be Jimmy Lackey's meal tonight? What's that last meal you have to have? Is it at a restaurant? Is it you cooking it? Is your wife cooking it? What is the last meal that Jimmy Lackey has to have?
This may sound cheesy. I just hope my family's at the table. I don't care what we eat.
I like that answer.
I just hope they're all at the table.
You don't have to have a steak. You don't have to. You just want their.
No,
okay.
if that's where we're going.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
Just give me my family.
Okay, you gave me a U-turn on that one. I like that. I like that a lot. So, and then finally, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, how good are you at keeping a secret? Scale of 1 to 10.
I'm going to say an 8.
Okay.
Because information comes to me sometimes that I know there's a couple of other people in the loop that I work with or family-wise, depending on what we're talking about, I need to know. And, key people, and I'll just put it this way, key people in my office, information comes to me, there's going to be a couple of key people that are probably going to be in on the loop because if something happens to me, some others need to know.
Yeah.
And that's how I function.
I like that. That's a very...
I'm not a keep it to myself type guy when it comes to major issues. Now, if somebody walks up to me and tells me something personal and they don't want anybody to know about it, I'm not going to say anything.
You're a 10,
yeah. But
no, I like that.
But if it's work related or something in our family that I think a couple of people need to be aware of, that's probably going to drop me down a point or two.
That's a good analytical answer to that. I do like that. So if you reach a 10, one of the young men I had on the show said, I'm the vault. I'm a 10. So if you tell them a secret, it's there. So we've had a 2. I think all sports writers are below 2 and below. Yeah. From all the information you get, you kind of spit it out pretty quick, And
well, in today's world,
yeah,
it's hard to keep. It's hard to keep info tight.
It is impossible. Yeah. We're gonna do one new thing when it's just you and I. It's called the shout out. Okay, I'm kind of catching off guard here, so I'll start it off. But I'd like to give a shout out to Joseph Plunk, 5th year down at Texas Tech. Had basically a special teams guy, got in the game last week and against North Texas. I think he had 15 or 20 snaps on defense, made a couple of tackles, but he was also the captain who went out for the coin flip. And that is named by the head coaches or by Joey McGuire and the staff, as I understand it. Tremendous honor. Congratulations for sticking in there. This is the all-time leading rusher in Tascosa history. And you go down to Tech and you basically sit 2 years without even seeing the field. Little special teams, not quite what you wanted it to be, you know what I mean? Yet you're still hanging in there and doing such a great job that the other defensive backs respect you as probably the smartest guy in the room, in the defensive backs room, as well as the head coach naming you a captain. So congratulations, Joseph Plunk. Who would you like to shout out, Jimmy?
Well, first off, if I'm ever the smartest guy in the room, I need to go to another room because I'm not that smart.
I've never been
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, mine's real easy. Mine's real easy. We've just come off, our staff here in Amarillo has just come off a whirlwind of registration for fall sports, and everything got up and running a couple weekends ago. Just to kind of give you a picture of this, we were down 5 staff members. We had people out. So we were a little short-staffed, and we live in a procrastination society where, you know, a lot of your people wait till the end.
I don't blame
before
them.
they're either going to get their stuff registered or paid. And so we had 2,000 paid registrations come in the last 8 days of fall sports registration. And this staff handled it like a champ. You know, there wasn't any moaning or groaning. They just dug in, got it done. And that's on top of, we've got staff members doing things in Hereford, Dalhart, and Elk City. And, you know, everybody just bucks up and gets it done. And I can't ever give our staff enough credit for what they do here. I mean, you and I get to sit here and do this and do interviews on TV and go out and speak and things of that nature. But it's on behalf of the group that's back here doing the work. And, I don't ever forget that because, like I said, I'm not ever the smartest guy in the room. But what they do is incredible. And they do it every time. I mean, right when you think, oh, Lord, we're not getting something done, it just gets done. And so that, especially that front office group that meets the customer up there, deals with all the situations that they have to deal with, and sometimes they're not pleasant. I try to explain to them, you're the vent for whoever that is that's coming in that's got a little bit of an attitude with you. They're angry about something.
They don't matter.
They're angry about something else. Don't take that personally. Kill them with kindness. Move on down the road. And if it gets to a point where you don't want to handle it, you come get one of us because I don't expect you to deal with those type of things.
That's cool.
And so, but the work that they do, incredible. And that would be my shout out right now is to the work that our staffs have done in all four of our entities over the last 3 weeks. Fall sports is big, and it's an interesting time. It's a social experiment for sure.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. I love that. So we just maybe inspired you to give a shout out to somebody you love today that you haven't told them that recently, or write I'm big into snail mail. Try this once. If you have a thank you to do today, instead of an email, send a snail mail. When they get that, they're just going to say, oh, my gosh, this is so cool. They open it up.
On that subject, some friends of ours came in for the weekend that we haven't seen in a while, and Amy wrote a book. It's big out there. That time I wrote all my Facebook friends a handwritten letter. Mine's 4 pages. I got one from her. They were in this week, and she goes, Jimmy, is there a place where I can mail this? To this day, she still writes a handwritten letter every day to someone.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, it's a great
shout out to Amy Daughters.
Shout out, Amy. I love that. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Hey, let's hop out of here. We can't thank you enough for joining us. Hope you enjoyed today's Fieldhouse Podcast. Remember, it's a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network, and we'll be back soon. See you later.